Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. No problem. And her speech is called Knowledge is Power, A Different Look. And her evaluator would be Bharat Bhushan. Bharat, could you let me know what her objectives are?
Yes. The objectives of Elissa is, okay. The objectives are use voice volume, pitch, rate, and quality to reflect and add meaning and interest to your message. Use pauses to enhance your message. Use vocal variety smoothly and naturally, and you have 5 to 7 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. My name is Elissa Ducar, and I am giving my 10th speech in my Confident Communicator Manual today. It's been a long time coming, but I'm very excited about this. The title of my speech, if you hadn't read on the agenda, is called Knowledge is Power, A Different Look. And I chose this title because Syed spoke about something a couple of weeks ago that turned out to be very close to my heart. Syed spoke about finding out that he was a type 2 diabetic. And I learned so much from your speech. The next day, I went for my physical at my doctor's office and had blood work done. I hadn't been in to see her for a while. For one reason or another, my physical was put off for a couple of years, literally because we had such bad weather in Denton. Every time I would go to schedule the appointment, they had nothing available. That was the first thing. Second thing is when I finally did get an appointment, I hadn't seen her for so long, they were treating me as a new patient, and then they couldn't get me in. Needless to say, we got all that worked out, and I got in to see my doctor, and the first thing they wanted to do was send the vampires in for my blood, which they did, and they always do that very well. So they took my blood from me, and I went on my way, came back in, saw the doctor, they checked your history, everything in my mind was going good, right up until about 3 days later when my phone rang. And they left the message, my husband got the call, so I was still at work. There's a thing in my family, it's like, don't tell Elissa anything that's gonna completely freak her out, we'll just wait. So they knew about this before I did, and they called and they said that I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So there must have been a reason that Syed gave his speech, and I am so thankful that you were able to speak about that for me. So there's my diagnosis. So then, after they diagnosed me, I sort of went through almost the 5 stages of grief, right? So you find out about this diagnosis, what am I gonna do with it? You're in denial. There's no way the test had to be wrong. Then I started thinking about things, and I was gestationally diabetic with my son, which automatically put me at a 50% higher risk, right? So there's that. Then you're angry. Well, really? Does this really have to happen to me? You go through this whole range of emotions. The only way I can describe it is the 5 stages of grief. Then there's bargaining. I promise that I'll eat better. And that's the weird thing, because if anybody that knows me knows I love to cook, and I do cook quite healthfully. So I'm like, okay, so I'm bargaining anyway. Then you go into depression, which I really wasn't that depressed over the whole thing, but still, I'm like, what is going on with this? So there was the depression, and then there's the acceptance. And I did, and I'm okay. And one of the things that my doctor recommended was that I meet with a diabetic educator. Let me tell you, if I had the opportunity, I would take this woman home with me. She was amazing. And when you're talking about knowledge is power, I got so much information from this woman. Look at this. She sent me home with recipe guides and blood pressure and diabetes. Did you know that when you're stressed, your blood sugars can go up? So even with the medication that I'm taking, and by the way, they did up my dose and I'm doing much better now. With that up dosage, my blood sugars are still much higher than they're supposed to be this week. And I think it might be because of plan. I haven't decided, but it can't be because of my carbs, because I've been counting everything. But I wanted to take the last couple of minutes of my speech, and she also sent me home with, just so you can see, but all this wonderful literature on counting carbs, better doctor visits, blood sugar diaries. She prescribed a meter, which I upgraded for free, and it syncs to my phone. This is so cool. So I have all of my information right there, which my doctors were thrilled with. The diabetic educator said I had the best attitude of anybody she had met in so long, because I wanted to do something about this. I wanted to change my life. I want to change those numbers. But one of the things that she sent me home with, and let me just see which is a good one to show you guys. I think I like this one a little bit better. So this is, it's basically what your plate should look like. And she joked around at the beginning. She said, all right, most people, you know, this is where your meat goes, this is where the starch goes, right? That's how you divide your plate. But what she said to do is take your dinner plate, actually divide it in 3 instead of 4, and fill 1/2 with leafy, non-starchy type vegetables. And then you take part and put some lean protein, and then you can put your starches. You don't have to give them up completely. You just have to be smarter about the choices that you make. So I do eat a lot of vegetables at home. Like I said, if you were here for some of my earlier speeches, I do love to cook, and sometimes I'm not afraid to bring stuff in for you guys to sample. But one of the things that I did find, since I do enjoy pasta, not as much now as I used to, but a zucchini and a spiralizer will turn your zucchini into zoodles. So I've developed some techniques on how to deal with this. And the other thing that I liked is that when you're talking about pieces of fruit, and she actually gave me, like she has these model, they're like fake fruit pieces. And you hold it and you can actually feel how heavy it is, and you can see what the size is like. That was eye-opening. This is the size apple you're supposed to eat, and I believe this is pretty much life size. It's about the size of your fist. Not these big gargantuan apples that you'd find in Kroger, but rather what you'd find in like the 3-pound bag size. And she said when you're eating those things, don't eat them by themselves. Eat them either with a piece of cheese or eat them with a dab of peanut butter, because the protein works with the carb and helps it not spike your sugar as much. It helps to level things out. These were the kind of things that I was so thrilled to learn from her, and she was happy for me because she knows that I'm already cooking healthy, because I'm also a member of Weight Watchers. Ironically, since I found out about this whole thing, I'm down like 7 pounds. So, you know, good, bad, or ugly, it's, you know, it helps. And then here's just another view of, you know, how she said to divide your plate. So, but she was very happy to send me home with different books, different guides. Both my doctor and the diabetic educator assured me it was nothing I did wrong. Just bad genetics. And you know, like I said, having the gestational diabetes with my son, it just put me at, you know, in a higher risk category. But I definitely believe knowledge is power. And I said a different look because you came at it from one way. I can't thank you enough for giving your speech that day. Who would have thought that it would have been so relevant to something that I would be going through? So I just wanted to share with you a little bit about the beginning of my journey with type 2 diabetes, and hopefully with the changes that I'm making. And they're not drastic changes, but those few changes that I'm making, hopefully it will eliminate or reduce the dosage of the medication that I need, and I will be better off, you know, I will be better off for that. So thank you for listening. And if you all, you know, if you wanted to see anything, I've got this all with me if you're interested in taking a look, but you can understand why I was a little overwhelmed at first. So, but I'm doing much better now. Thank you. Thank you, Elissa. Lovely speech. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. So can we take a few minutes to write some hopefully kind remarks?